How cool would it be if you discovered a strategy that you're able to deploy that attracted people to you, where it was their idea essentially to reach out and get prospected by you? So that's more of a passive prospecting. Well, what if you created a system that also allowed your team to have that same result and same benefit? Well, that's also passive prospecting. Well, what if you developed a strategy for creating content out that you put out there, that you invest very little time per day to create content, and that attracts people to you? Well, that's passive prospecting. Well, what if you created automations, an automated lead generation system that where you maybe eventually learned how to run ads and grew your email list that way? Well, that's a passive prospecting. Well, what if you had an AI bot that literally had conversations for you in Messenger and responded to all your social media comments and then attracted people to you? Well, that's also passive prospecting. So the concept of passive prospecting was invented here. That term you'll hear nowhere else, because we've always at Attraction Marketing been about how do we make the first and most critical part of any network marketing business, which is the prospecting part. How do we make that easier, more seamless, more frictionless? And in fact, since we're marketers, by definition, marketing is about attracting people through your marketing so that you eliminate essentially the active prospecting part of it altogether. And so that's the reason we don't teach cold prospecting, because we don't need it. And it's also, taught like you need a lot of skills first and foremost if you're doing it right. And two, most people don't learn it right. So that's the purpose of the passive prospecting workshop, is to how do you create as much leverage as possible with both your personal strategy for producing results yourself, but also how do you duplicate that across your team and create systems that support them. And one of the things that our attendees that have already registered for the passive prospecting workshop have already started working on, there's 3 pre-event trainings. We've already done one of them, and that I'm delivering personally, and that I'm coaching people every single week on those trainings. So the first hour is devoted to training, the second hour is devoted to coaching. And what we're doing during the pre-event training just by itself, imagine this. So first and foremost, I delivered a completely brand new training that offered 3 different ways for people to be able to arrive at the most effective target market for them. So that's what I did, number 1, because no matter what, as a leader, you need to define a target market, not just for yourself, but for your team too, that they can default into. And so you're going to, no matter what system you create, you're going to need to define a target market. And so I delivered a training last Friday and did coaching as well, coupled with that training. It was an updated version of what we currently teach inside of Acceleration on target market, but I took a different angle. In fact, I took 3 different angles. And those that attended, obviously, how insanely valuable that training was on these 3 different ways of arriving at your target market. So if you have not already registered for the workshop, then please do so, because then you can actually watch that recording, which I highly recommend you do. But let's say you've already arrived at your target market. The next step would be, what we're doing during the workshop is the next module this Friday, and I'm going to couple that with coaching. What I'm going to be doing is coaching people through crafting their own authentic product or business transformation story. And this serves a huge purpose, because the ability to craft your own story, especially a transformation story, will actually be the most valuable asset you create early on in your career as a network marketer, because it's through story that you can convert. It's through stories that people relate. So the coaching, all of this, Friday, is going to focus on how to craft your authentic transformation story, either for business or product. For most people that don't have a lot of experience in network marketing, and probably be for product. For those of you who do have a lot of experience in networking and have that credibility, it could be a business transformation. But the point of that story is to be used strategically as part of a 7-day launch posting strategy or a relaunch strategy that you can deploy yourself on your own current social media channel. So let's say you've bombed it to the up to this point. Let's say like you tried to reach out to your warm market, that posted all the wrong things on social media. Well, first we're going to show you. You already know the reboot post. The reboot post is something we teach in acceleration on how to like hit the reset button. But what do you do after that reboot post? What can you post over the course of a week that would cause your people in your warm market, who actually are also in your target market? So there's an overlap. People in your warm market that are also in your target market, cause them to raise their hand and reach out and go, hey, Gail, what are you doing? Hey, Sean, like I saw your post, like, man, like I'd like to know more about, how you were able to get this result, how are you able to lose weight, how are you able to like, get rid of that brain fog or increase your energy, or how you're able to reduce your inflammation and feel better. Like whatever it is, that transformation story would actually be used as part of a 7-day launch sequence. And so what we're doing over the next 2 weeks is actually helping our attendees, even before they arrive at the passive prospecting workshop, to actually craft that 7-day launch sequence that they can deploy starting next week. They can deploy to hit the reset button on their warm market, let bygones be bygones. 2, open people up to actually be interested in what you have. And 3, cause them to actually reach out and go, hey man, I saw your post. Tell me more about what you're taking or what you're doing to get that result. And so that 7-day sequence, the one of the most 2 of the posts have to do with sharing your story, which is the reason this Friday we're going to be talking about crafting your story, and then we're also going to talk about the 7-day launch sequence, where your story would fit into that sequence, and then having a plan for a full week on what exactly what you're going to be posting every day. And that with a high degree of probability is going to start stimulating conversations of people that are actually interested from your current network without even going into the cold market yet. And so the power of doing that before, and we're going to do this before the event. So this is part of the pre-event training. The power of doing that is one, allows you to test, allows you to get into results. You can see what worked and what didn't about what you did. You can adapt it. But this is laying the foundation now for what your team does to get their business launched within the first week of the business. So now not only have you gotten yourself into results, if you already have a team or you're bringing people in, well, when those customers that you generate, ultimately, when you invite them to take a look at the business and they get started, you can say, yeah, we already have a system. We already have a plan for you to follow that's designed to get you into results quickly. So now that'll be one of your selling points, that you actually have created a system for getting people launched quickly because you've already done it. So like, here's the blueprint. They don't have to do target market training. They don't have to develop the thing from scratch. They don't have to do the work you're doing. You just give them the blueprint that worked for you for the first 7 days. And eventually you can expand that to the first 10 days or 14 days. But what you're doing now is upfront, you're creating one of the most valuable assets for duplication in your network marketing business. So that's what we're doing leading up to the passive prospecting workshop, is creating this insanely valuable duplication system that helps your newest team members launch. And then we're also, during the event, we're gonna kind of wrap a bow on that system, and then also work on teaching our students the strategy and the skills for developing other systems for content marketing. And this is especially going to be big when it comes to reels and short form video or micro video content, but not just exclusively to that type of content. So we're going to cover, for the first part of the event, leverage building, which is content marketing through not just reels and TikTok, but other forms of content as well. And we're going to show you how to make that process of creating that content a lot easier using systems and actually AI. And then we're going to get into being, there's been a lot of development since we last trained on this concept on how to actually have AI respond to your social media comments, and collect emails, collect phone numbers, and potentially even have conversations with people on your behalf. So we're going to cover on creating that type of system that literally is AI connecting with people that are engaging with your content, and first and foremost getting them on a list so that you can follow up with them, whether you're using AI for that or not. And then we're also going to talk about how do you create full-blown 100% automation for lead generation. So I'm going to cover a special training on that. And we're also going to be getting into enrollment funnels. So, and enrollment systems. So I'm going to be training on the different types of enrollment systems that exist today. And there's going to be enrollment systems for your team. There's going to be enrollment systems for product. There's going to be enrollment systems for presenting the opportunity. Essentially those two systems, presenting the product or opportunity, there's going to be types of systems that your team would use, or the types of systems that you would use if you want to create more leverage and automation. I guarantee you, like the way Beck Sadek or Helen Martin recruits and enrolls people is different than their team, because they're, they want to qualify more people because they're at a different level. And so if you were to look at, and I'm actually going to show you what some of these enrollment systems look like for leaders that are fully automated, that they literally enroll people into your network marketing business on autopilot without you having to talk to them. But then that's not where you start. A new person is not going to have full-blown automation. So what system do you give them that's going to allow your newest team member, without any automation, enroll people as frictionless way as possible into your business? And so what system do you have them use? And so I'm going to be covering the different types of enrollment systems and what is appropriate for those different people, because there is no such thing as one enrollment system rules them all. And you definitely don't want to have enrollment systems that present both the product or opportunity. I don't recommend that, because you're sabotaging sales to try to like sell them two things at once, as opposed to, hey, let's focus on a two-step process. So anyway, hope that makes sense. So what we're focused on this weekend during the Past Prospecting Workshop is on skill development. But then how does AI come into all of this? You guys hear me and see me? Give me a number 2 in the chat if you guys can hear me and see me. So someone's saying they're freezing up. So now I've covered a lot. So this is what we're covering during the Passive Prospecting Workshop. We're going to basically be covering 5 different categories of systems, one of which we're covering at the beginning of the event. So we're doing that up for not even the beginning of the event, before the event, we're doing that. So the pre-trainings are just as valuable as the event itself. So I highly recommend you guys be a part of that. But where does AI come in? So some of you have asked, well, I'm already, guys, I already have your platform. I already have access to your AI platform. Do I need to be at this event? The answer is absolutely, because we're focused on developing skills and using AI whenever possible to remove friction. You guys are going to go through training on how to craft your story, but here's the thing. Your newest team member doesn't need to go through the process of crafting their story, because that can take a lot of time and effort. They might get stuck. In fact, I have a leader who said, Ferny, I had to take out the whole crafting your story part as part of my launch sequence because people were getting stuck. People were like spending too much time there. People were like, they didn't know how to write. So perfect. Instead of taking it out, what if you just had AI, like a little AI chatbot as part of your launch process, interview your new team member, ask them a few questions, and then write their story for them? Guys, type me a number 5 in the chat if you would like to have an AI bot write your story for you. In fact, what if an AI bot can write a launch sequence for you? Tell you exactly, okay, here's what you want to do on day 1, day 2, day 3, or here's some ideas on what to post on this day. Like, if you can ask questions during a bot that actually has access to not only the world's content on the internet, but actually understands what we do specifically. So we're going to do both. We're going to have you focus on writing your story and know what a good story looks like. Otherwise, you won't know if AI is actually doing an effective job. So, so we're going to show you how to craft your story, but then we're going to have AI. We're going to show you how AI can actually write your story for you in a way that actually might even be better than what you could do alone. But not only how to do that, but how AI can actually help your newest team member get through the parts of whatever whatever process you have to launch a new team member, whatever you think are the hardest parts, the parts that people get stuck on the most, the parts that people tend to overthink. What if you can have an AI step in and smooth out that process and actually make it frictionless, where now your new team members don't get stuck on that part, but so you can get maximum benefit without the friction? Or what if your new team member had a question about what do you, on a certain day, you had a plan for them. You told me on day 7, you're going to post this, but it's like, I have a question. I'm not sure if I'm doing it right. Well, what if there was a bot they could ask that question to, that actually understood the process, that actually understood what you were trying to do? So this is the role that AI is going to play, and hope that makes sense. Tell me number 10, if this is exciting you, the fact that that AI is there not to replace your development. And this event is not going to be like, well, we're just going to have you, use the easy button throughout the entire event, because that wouldn't serve you. We're going to teach you how to create a launch sequence for yourself and for your team, how to put that into a system, and then how you might use AI to make that process more frictionless than it's ever been in the history of network marketing, so that your newest team members don't get stuck. And wherever you're finding that your new team members get stuck, or maybe they just, that you have like written them off and said, this person's not just motivated. They're not motivated enough to get through this. Then they're not worth my time. Well, what if you didn't write those people off? Like, what if they were just a slow learner, or they just needed more time to get something, but you didn't want their need to be able to process and take in information and the pace at which they learn to slow down their ability to build? If somebody learns more slowly, but they eventually can get there, what if you had something in place that helped them get through that stage of their business as effectively as possible, and have them move on while they're developing skill sets? So guys, what I'm saying here is, if you want to have massive duplication in your organization, you can't write people off by saying, well, that person's not motivated like me. That person is not, if they're not motivated enough to work through that, then they're probably not worth investing in. Guys, the whole point of duplication is to get as much production out of everyone that joins your business as humanly possible. And even if they only make a few $100s or $1,000 a month, and that they're happy with that, and that's as much as you've gotten them, well, if you have the systems in place that are going to be most effective, that are frictionless, etc., somebody that might completely fail, you might get that person and be able to push them to make an extra $1,000 a month, whereas before they would have failed. Or maybe somebody that was making $200 a month, you can get, with better systems, you can get them producing $1,000 a month. Or somebody that was making 500, you can get them producing 2,000. Because you improved your systems, you increase the production with the same level of motivation, and then that person stops. They're like, I'm good with, I'm happy, other priorities take hold, and then duplicated that. What would happen if you duplicated a bunch of little retail $1,000, $2,000 commission-based businesses? What would happen to your volume if you're able to duplicate that? So that's the point. Network marketing is not about writing people off because they're not like you. Network marketing is about getting even the least motivated person to have them produce the maximum they can produce based on their level of motivation, but then using AI to make the process smoother so they can go further than they've ever gone before. If you've ever guys played, what's that name? What's that game? Damn it. Shuffleboard. There you go. Shuffleboard. The more sand you have on the field, the faster the puck glides, right? And the less sand, the more friction. And so it like gets stuck sooner. Well, what if you created a system that was like that shuffleboard with a lot of sand?